women that I talk to don't like camping, but it's super fun. You just need to learn to plan ahead a little bit. I'm Ronnie, and you're listening to Clean With Me, the podcast where I walk you through cleaning your house step by step. When you clean along with this show, you'll get more done in less time so you can spend the rest of your day doing what matters most to you. Thanks for joining me. I am recording this on a phone, in the truck, at a campsite, so please forgive me that it's not the usual sound quality, but I think it'll be okay. Let's get right into the episode. It's time to gear up for your cleaning session. Maybe you need to freshen up for the day a little bit or slip into some slides or whatever kind of shoes you like to clean in. Or maybe you need to open your curtains and blinds and windows and let some fresh air circulate. Or if the weather doesn't permit or it's late at night and you want to keep everything locked up, I understand. Maybe you can get your house smelling good with a scented candle, wax warmer, essential oil diffuser, whatever you like to use. Another thing you could be doing to help kick off this cleaning session is starting a load of laundry. Maybe you have some clothes to wash, or maybe you have a lot of laundry to wash and you need to just get some towels and underwear in there and get those going, those essentials, or somebody's uniform you could throw in there, whatever needs to be washed in a hurry, or maybe you need to strip your bedding and get some of that washing. I recently got a new, I would say comforter. It's actually one of those duvet inserts. And I didn't get the duvet cover yet because they were all out of it. But I just got the Better Homes and Gardens, and this is not sponsored or anything. I just thought it was a good deal and practical. I got the Better Homes and Gardens duvet insert at Walmart, and they keep the duvet covers right there, but they were all out of the white king sized. And I insisted on everything being white. Of course, I already got chocolate on the insert, but I'll fix it. But I was thinking about getting a white comforter or even a duvet set on Amazon or something. But I don't trust the reviews because I know a lot of people get paid to write Amazon reviews, even though they're verified purchasers. You know, they're biased in a lot of cases. So I like to click on the negative reviews, even if it's like 4.8 or something. I like to click on the negative reviews on those items and see what they said. And it's like, oh, these are super flat. They're flat as a pancake. They look nothing like the picture, this and that. But if you buy a comforter or a duvet insert in person, you know what you're getting. And I'm not saying it's the fluffiest thing around, but I knew what I was getting because I looked at it in the store and it was affordable. So I got that duvet insert for now, which we're using that as our comforter just by itself. And I'm going to get the cover later. I realize I could have ordered it off Walmart.com, but sometimes I like just buying things in person for a change. But I also got a new set of sheets and pillowcases. And I already had multiple sets of sheets, but I was kind of down to one comforter because I'm always like passing different comforters on to the kids, or they end up turning into camping comforters or whatever. My point is, I think it's a great idea to have a complete second sheet set. I guess that's a tongue twister, and a complete second comforter. Okay, so that if you change your bedding late in the day, you can still make the bed and you're not going to be irritated with yourself when you try to go to bed and you've got to restart the dryer 3 times to dry that comforter or something. Speaking of bedding, you might want to just take a couple minutes to make your bed if you have not already done so. The camping tips I'm going to tell you in this episode are probably so different than anyone else's camping tips, just because I'm different, I guess. Whenever I hear someone say they hate camping, a lot of times it's someone who is a super glamorous type. Their makeup's always done, their hair is always curled, they're always dressed real classy and everything. And I often wonder if it's because of the challenges of looking good when camping. I wonder if that's why they don't like it. When I was a teenager in high school, there was a camping trip that was put on by our school. It wasn't just the usual summer camp per se, but it was a camping trip where the seniors got to be camp counselors to some 7th graders. So I was in a little tent with several 7th grade girls, and I was a senior at the time. And one thing they were super surprised to find out was that I had brought a butane curling iron. I graduated in 1990, so this camping trip might have been in 1989. And so you didn't want your bangs just completely flat. Like, at that point, I wasn't doing like the high hair or what nowadays they call it mall bangs, like in hindsight or something. My husband calls it high hair. We weren't really doing that so much, but we were still curling our bangs. And I can't remember if I bought that curling iron specifically for that camping trip or if it was so I could get ready in the car, but I used it for both. So that was one way of making sure that I looked good tent camping. And no, I'm not that super glamorous type who always has a full face of makeup, but I do care how I look camping. I'm not the other end of the spectrum. You know, when you go camping with a group of people and the women are like, you put on makeup? We're camping. And they just purposely are looking real rough or something. And no judgment here if you don't ever wear makeup. I get that. But I'm saying a lot of women who usually wear makeup will kind of act like there's some kind of a rule when you're camping that you don't put on makeup. And maybe it's just that they're taking a break from it. But I'm the type of person who always wears at least mascara and these days some other things too. And I'm talking even if I'm in a hospital bed or something. I mean, I'm pretty sick. I'm pretty bad off if you don't see any makeup on me in the hospital. So yes, I do wear eye makeup camping. And some of you might be thinking, well, is it tent camping or is it glamping? Definitely at my age, I prefer glamping. But as recently as, how long ago was it? It wasn't that long ago. It was during the pandemic. So I'm going to say in either 2020 or 2021, we went tent camping. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility for me to camp in a tent, but I do prefer camping in an RV. And if you don't like tent camping and you don't have an RV, you could rent a cabin somewhere and still kind of camp, so to speak. Okay, I gave you way too much time to make your bed. It's now time to straighten up your front entrance area or your front room. Just start at the front door and start straightening up. Clear any clutter off the floor, straighten the couch cushions, dust any surfaces that may need it. And while you're at it, gather any dishes from around the house, like the mugs on the nightstand. I'll tell you how I got chocolate on that comforter, and it's I'm not proud of this, but I had left a mug there. Okay, I'm always talking about mugs on the nightstand. And the chocolate syrup that I had put into my coffee kind of settled to the bottom. So once the coffee was gone, there was a little bit of chocolate down in the bottom. Well, in the middle of the night, I pulled my plastic water bottle out of that mug. Like I had set the water bottle in the mug, pulled it out and gotten a drink. And then the bottom of the water bottle had chocolate on it, and it ended up on my comforter. And it was dark, and I didn't realize it was happening until the next morning. Yes, I sprayed it with a pre-treater, washed it right away, but you could still faintly see it. But since it's white, I'll just fix it with bleach. I'll have to figure out if it's safe to bleach the whole thing. Probably is, and I'll probably risk it since I got it at Walmart. I probably just need to wash that comforter insert again with some bleach. But whenever something really isn't supposed to be bleached, I've been known to spot treat it with like bleach and a Q-tip or a bleach pen. Anyway, that's another reason to clear your nightstand if you're accidentally going to set your water bottle into a chocolatey mug. Usually I drink out of a tumbler on the nightstand, but this was just one of those times where I'd grabbed a disposable water bottle. Just be straightening up your front entrance and then gathering any dishes and taking them to the sink area. And your front entrance might also include a living area or two. I did buy another butane curling iron years later as an adult. I didn't like the new one as well. It was one of those situations where they don't make them like they used to. These days, I have a small travel trailer, and I have a curling iron in one of the drawers in the kitchen drawers. We don't have a lot of storage in this travel trailer. We used to have a great big one that was like 27 feet long or so. And then we got a cab over camper, and long story, but now we've got a very small travel trailer that's like an 18-footer. But it does sleep 5 people. It's lacking in storage though. So there's a curling iron in one of the drawers. Kitchen drawers. But what my husband and I are talking about doing, there's kind of a ledge above the microwave / convection oven. There's a ledge up above there, and we like to put things up there, but some of it slides off while we're driving. So we're thinking about adding something around that, some kind of a net or a little ledge or something to keep things from sliding off. So that's something that we're working on, is just some storage solutions. But at the same time, we also just realized that there was a lot of storage space under the bottom bunk. So it's one of those things where you've got to take the thing out a couple times and realize like what modifications you want to make or what you want to bring next time, stuff like that. But while we're talking a little bit about tent camping, where you would use a butane curling iron if curling your hair is a must, another thing that's kind of a must with tent camping is just bringing some wipes, whether it's official makeup removing wipes or just baby wipes, especially if you're camping with a group of people. If it's just your family, you might not really care how you look when you first emerge from the tent. But a lot of times it's fun to go camping with other families, and you want to look presentable when you emerge. So you definitely want to have a mirror in there. You want to have a spray bottle, possibly, for, getting rid of that bed head. A wipe for removing your makeup so you can quickly wash your face and reapply your makeup. If you have long hair, you could sleep in a braid or something. My hair is just barely past shoulder length, so I'm team spray bottle these days. My hair gets kind of flat just on the back on one side. So I just, in the mornings when I'm getting ready, if it's not a morning where I'm jumping into the shower, I just kind of, I'm talking about even at home, I'll just spray the back of my hair and then brush it, and I'll be good as new. Even at home, I like makeup removing wipes. Sometimes I go through a phase where I keep them on the nightstand because, we're watching TV late at night. I don't always feel like getting up to wash my face before bed. And sometimes I'll just quickly remove my makeup with a makeup removing wipe. Hopefully by now you've straightened up your front entrance. It's time to head to the kitchen. And you probably gathered up the cups already or whatever else was around your house that needed to go to the sink area. Go ahead and get started on your dishes, whatever that means for you. Maybe you need to empty your dishwasher so that you can pre-rinse some stuff and reload it. Or maybe you need to empty your drying rack. Or if you're like me, you might use a drying rack and a dishwasher and need to empty both. If you're new to the show, I am really big on emptying your drying rack and dishwasher first thing in the morning, like when you go in to make your tea or coffee or get your juice, whatever you do when you first go to the kitchen in the morning. That way it kind of sets the stage for keeping up on dishes throughout the day. There's just something about keeping your drying rack or starting with an empty drying rack and dishwasher at the beginning of the day that sets you up for success. But no judgment here if you've got dirty dishes to wash and clean ones to put away, and you've got to put away the clean stuff and then wash the dirty stuff. Just don't be tempted to add to that pile in your drying rack and play dish Jenga with this huge stack. It's going to make your kitchen look cluttered, and you're not going to wash your dishes as fast if you're hand washing some of them or all of them, when you kind of don't know where to put them and you have to think too hard. I like to just start placing them into an empty drying rack as I wash them. I usually get any difficult items washings, like pots and pans with dried on food. I'll get them soaking rather. And then I'll do a quick empty reload and run of the dishwasher. And then once that's running, I'll hand wash anything that didn't fit into the dishwasher. And then lastly, I'll scrub and wash those pots that needed a little time to soak. You don't want to get into a cycle of leaving things to soak overnight. Once in a while, something really needs that, but not all the time. Sometimes just a little bit of soaking while you wash the other stuff is really all you need. So don't lie to yourself about that. Just be working on dishes, whatever that involves. And of course, if you're ahead of the game and you don't have any dishes to wash, be cleaning the surfaces in your kitchen from the top down. And there are plenty of deep cleaning tasks you could work on as well, like cleaning out your refrigerator, microwave, whatever. But a lot of you have dishes to do. The rest of you can be doing other cleaning tasks in the kitchen. But yeah, if your fear is looking rough when you emerge from the tent, make sure you've got a mirror, a water spray bottle, brush, hair ties, makeup removing wipes, and of course, your makeup. And for camping, I always bring some type of makeup that has a built-in mineral sunscreen. I use that a lot of the time anyway, but especially when I'm going to be outside a lot. And for tent camping, you do have to time it correctly. Check the forecast, and also don't count on blow-up mattresses because they almost always leak. And don't expect to be comfortable sleeping on just a sleeping bag on the floor of the tent. You've got to bring some kind of padding, whether it's a couple extra comforters or better yet, like one of those egg crate things, those spongy things that you can use like on top of your mattress at home or whatever. Bringing one of those to go in the bottom of the tent under the sleeping bags is a must. Not when you're a teenager and you're in there with some seventh graders or something, but when you're an adult, you don't want to be sleeping on the ground. When you're a kid, you're probably okay with roughing it like that. And yes, tents have like these little covers that go over the top for when it rains, but you don't want it to rain when you're in a tent. Anything more than just a light sprinkling, it's going to be a problem. One time we went camping and it started to rain after a couple days, but my husband's cousin who lived in the area had brought his tent trailer to join us for a day or so and go fishing. And so he left his tent trailer there for us. So on the last night, we were able to move into that tent trailer rather than spend another night in the tent once it started to rain. So rain, snow, those can definitely be a problem. And being too hot can also be a problem in a tent. So, you're going to want to probably have some way to have a fan in there if it's a little warm. If it's a little cold, you got to make sure that you're able to keep warm enough, and checking the forecast is crucial. An alternative to a butane curling iron, and this is probably more for people with bangs, because even when you have bangs that you wear relatively straight, you need to kind of shape them. And so if you are in a situation where you're not going to have power or whatever, just get a large curler, like an old school curler, like those little prickly ones, and or even a large sponge roller, but that kind of leaves a line. I'm usually just the ones that are kind of prickly, like your hair kind of holds it in place. And in the old days, they would stick those little plastic pins into it, but I just use the curler itself. I get my bangs a little bit damp, and I'm talking about situations where I don't really have power. I've been known to do this like in the truck when we're driving somewhere kind of far, where I'll just use that one curler just to shape my bangs. And yeah, I don't do it very often because my hair dries super fast, especially my bangs. So even if I take a shower, like my bangs are dry soon enough for me to shape them with like a giant curling iron at home before I leave. But if I were tent camping for a few days or something and did not have a butane curling iron, I would bring just one big curler and a spray bottle, and I could shape my bangs that way. Like you basically spray your bangs a little bit, put that curler in, and then do something else like your makeup while your bangs are drying. So just a little tip there. I talked about rain. Another important thing to think about. This is actually a lesson that I learned recently, and I was not even camping when I learned this lesson, but a lot of tennis shoes or athletic shoes, whatever you call them, have kind of a mesh instead of being mainly leather and water resistant. It can be a nightmare if your shoes and socks get wet. This actually happened to me at Disneyland recently. I went to Disneyland with my mom and sister, and I was kind of the idiot that wore mesh shoes, and there was a forecast that it was going to rain, so I should have worn different shoes. But I was trying to pick my most comfortable walking shoes, and I didn't think that it was actually going to be raining while we were there, and that there would be some standing water deep enough to get my shoes and socks wet. But there was. But I remember another time when my husband and I went camping at this place in Texas called Joe Pool Lake, where it was just muddy everywhere. It wasn't raining, but I guess it had recently rained, and it was super muddy. So it was a good thing that my shoes were water resistant on that camping trip. Let's put it that way. And my kids' shoes got pretty messed up. But always bring at least 2 pairs of shoes camping. There's just a high probability that you're going to get your shoes wet, even if it doesn't rain, just from hiking around and bodies of water and whatnot. So never go camping with just the shoes that are on your feet. Bring a second pair. And a lot of times when you go camping, you're by a river, and it's good to have some shoes that you can wear in the water, like water shoes or jellies, or just something that you can walk around like partway in the water in. So just a thought there. The only time I've ever stayed in a cabin camping was a summer camp I went to as a teenager. However, I do know people who every time they go camping, they stay in a cabin. So they're avoiding that whole roughing it scenario. Like they've got indoor plumbing, a bathroom, and whatever. If your dishes are done, be sure to wipe down your upper cabinets, the fronts of your large appliances like your microwave, your dishwasher, your oven, your refrigerator. Another thing I wanted to say about camping is always have a way to cook. I don't care if you're tent camping or you're in an RV, you're going to want to cook. One time we went camping with a group of people, and my husband and I made something really good. I don't even really remember what it was, but we definitely cook when we're camping, and it's a huge part of the experience. Everything tastes better when you're camping. You're super hungry when you're camping. And I remember this other family that was on the camping trip pulled out some cold hot dogs and just slices of white bread to wrap around those cold hot dogs. And so we were offering them some of our food. It was kind of awkward. So if you're new to camping, you need a way to cook. Sometimes there are little, barbecue areas where there's like a little grid thing over a fire pit or whatever. But I recommend having a little Coleman stove or something if you're tent camping. That's what I grew up with. My husband has one. It's a thing. You might need to get a little Coleman stove if you're going to do any tent camping. And some of you are like, what? I know how to camp. But I'm kind of gearing some of this to people who haven't camped in a while or who are new to camping. Because I also know some people who had never been camping until they were like over 30 years old. And of course, you need to dress warmer than you normally do because you're outside a lot more. So make sure you dress warm. And you're not automatically going to be able to have a fire. A lot of times it's not allowed. We're camping at a place where this whole town almost burned down recently. So they're pretty picky about fires, and there are no fire pits in this place. In fact, this place that we're staying at is technically an RV park. But when you're in the mountains, it's a beautiful camping experience, even if the place is not officially called a campground. But this place does have restrooms with showers and things like that. We do have everything we need in the trailer. Our travel trailer is kind of an optical illusion because it looks really small, and they're thinking like there's no way all 5 of you are sleeping in there. And admittedly, it's probably better suited for 4 people. We are squeezing in a little bit, but it does have a bathroom. It's got a toilet. It's got a shower. Basically, when you're in the bathroom, like the toilet stall is the shower. Like there's a toilet, a sink, and then a shower head and a shower curtain and a door. So basically when you're taking a shower, you shut the toilet lid and, basically the toilet is inside of the shower. If you've ever been in an RV, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of the bathrooms are that way. But this place does have facilities. It also has full hookups. So if you're new to RVing or you're considering getting an RV and you don't know how this works, you have a water tank, and obviously there's a limited amount of water. And then you also have a sewage tank, which has a limited amount of space in it. So if you're boondocking, that's the term for camping somewhere where you're not hooked up to power and water and sewage drainage, then you're kind of limited as far as, how much those tanks will hold. And, maybe not everybody can take a shower and things like that. But a lot of these places have what's called full hookup. So you have unlimited fresh water. You have unlimited sewage because it's draining into their sewer system. And then you have electricity because you're plugged in. And that's the kind of place that we usually stay at. We're at a full hookup place. But that time in like 2020 or 2021 where we went tent camping, we were at a place that had restrooms, but we had to kind of drive to them. But we also have this little miniature tent that's like a bathroom. Okay, so which obviously we're probably not going to use that again for a long time, if at all, because now we have an RV. But when we did not have an RV, the way I like to tent camp is we would set up this other bathroom tent and this little portable toilet that's basically a bucket with a seat. You line it with like a bag and it has a seat on it. Just to avoid TMI, like basically you just go number one in that one. It's so that you could get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or go just before, basically pee just before bed or, when you first, get up or in the middle of the night or whatever without like walking to the campground restroom where you would take care of other business, so to speak. Because you kind of don't want to use your porta potty for something because obviously you're going to have to dispose of that later, if that makes sense. But I do recommend that for tent camping if you're not super close to a restroom. Of course, you're going to carry a flashlight for walking to the bathroom and whatnot. So that might be an option. But in some situations, it can be convenient to have a portable toilet, especially if you have small children that you're potty training or that have to go to the bathroom at the drop of a hat, or you have to go to the bathroom at the drop of a hat. That's why I said camping tips for women, because men don't need that just to pee in the woods or whatever, okay? And women can too, if needed, but when it's super dark and it's late at night, it could be kind of creepy. Unless you're walking a dog, that makes it a little bit better. Okay, which brings me to my next point. You need to bring little plastic bags for picking up after your dog when you're camping. If you bring dogs. We do bring our dogs. We have stay-at-home pets, but our 2 dogs have to go with us. The lower maintenance pets can stay home. Our chickens probably love it when we go camping because we have a chicken coop in our backyard and it has like a little run, a chicken run. So the coop part is like the little house where they go in to keep warm and they lay the eggs and huddle in a little building at night. But they have a little yard too that's enclosed, where they go out and they're kind of semi-free ranging, right? They're eating bugs, they're getting sunshine, exercise, all the things. But if you've ever had chickens, you know that they will eat up all the plants, all the weeds, and there won't be any sign of greenery in their run. So from time to time, we let them out, but our dogs will chase them. So it's kind of a thing where, okay, nobody let the dogs out. we have the chickens out right now, and it can be kind of stressful because somebody might forget and or not hear about it or whatever, open one of the sliding glass doors and let one of the dogs out. And it's like, oh no, she's chasing the chickens or whatever. So we don't like to have to go through that. So a lot of times when we're going to be gone somewhere and we take our dogs with us, we will open up the chicken coop door and let the chickens out of the run. And then they get to free range all around the yard and, eat weeds and grass and whatever, find more bugs, whatever they do. Okay, hopefully by now you're wiping down your countertop, stove top, cleaning out your sink if you haven't already done so. And then, of course, after that, you're going to move down to your lower cabinets. And then you're going to end by sweeping and mopping your kitchen floor. By the way, if you want to get your whole house clean, we have lots of bonus episodes where you clean your entire house. Special thanks to those who are already supporting the show, which unlocks those bonus episodes. And you can unlock those episodes by supporting us on Apple Podcasts, Patreon, Spotify, which is kind of integrated with Patreon, and Spreaker Supporter Club. That's yet another option. There'll be links in the episode notes, or a link. I'm camping, so I might just put one link, but there'll be at least one link in the episode notes to my website, and that'll tell you how to subscribe to bonus content if it's not already being advertised to you on whichever app you're listening on. Those episodes are called Clean With Me Unplugged, and they tend to be longer episodes where you'll clean your whole house. Other things to think about when camping are mosquito repellent, sunblock. You're going to want to create a camping-friendly menu. What we try to do is cook a lot of the same foods each time we go camping. That way we just kind of routinely know which ingredients to buy. Like there's going to be bacon and eggs. Often there's going to be stew. We had stew tonight. It was kind of funny because my 18-year-old son was like, where's the special bread? Because when I make beef stew, I make homemade French bread, or at least some kind of homemade bread if it's not the French bread. So I was happy that he loves my fresh bread, but I had to offer him crackers. We did saltines to keep it simple because I don't have a lot of experience with the type of oven we have. It's a microwave if you use the microwave settings, but it also has this little metal rack that you keep in it when you're doing the convection stuff. But I don't really know how to do stuff in a convection oven. But when we had our bigger RV that had a regular oven, what I would do for bread for the stew night, I would buy some frozen dinner rolls and just pop those in the oven. And then you have that whole fresh, hot bread experience. But for the most part, when you're camping, you want to make things that you can cook on the stove. Like if you have your little Coleman camp stove that you're placing on a picnic table at the campsite where you're tent camping. Or you have an RV where you don't really want to experiment with a convection oven. Okay? And you're just comfortable with using the gas stove. Things that you fry up or boil on the stove are practical. So keep things practical. And if you don't have an amazing husband who tends to just do all the dishes when you're camping, you might want to bring paper products. We tend to bring the disposable stuff when we are camping with a large group and like we're cooking for a bunch of people or something. Then we're going to bring paper plates, bowls, silverware. But for just our little group of 5, we are just doing dishes. And obviously the disposable stuff makes more sense when you're tent camping then you only just have a few pans and spatulas and things to wash. But when you have an RV, it's not a big deal to also wash your bowls and spoons and plates because you have the sink. But camping can definitely save you money, especially if you just go camping in your own region. Here's another tip. If you're using a heater that depends on propane, and there's a chance that you could run out of propane, or even if you don't think you're going to run out of propane, it's good to have a space heater as a backup plan. Because those of us who camp in RVs are not as worried about the forecast because we have heating and air conditioning, but you still just want to be prepared. Have a fan, have a space heater in case something goes wrong. I hope you got a lot done during this episode, and maybe some of my camping tips will help you. Happy cleaning, and I'll talk to you soon.